Boyz II Men need no introduction. They have 15 Grammy nominations and have won 4, 5 number 1 hits and 10 top 10 songs, as well as 8 Soul Train Music Awards. They have sold around 60 million records worldwide, with multi-platinum songs and albums. They have been around for 3 decades and dominated the charts with hits such as End of the Road, I'll Make Love to You and On Bended Knee. Members Nathan Morris, Shawn Stockman, Wanya Morris and Michael McCary met at the Philadelphia High School for the Creative and Performing Arts. Marc Nelson was also in the group at one point, but left after falling out with some of the other members. One day, Nathan, Marc, Wanya and Shawn were practicing their harmonies in the school bathroom when Michael walked in and decided to join them. His baritone voice was the missing link, and he became the group's bass singer. They were discovered by New Edition's Michael Bivins, and they eventually ended up getting signed to Motown Records. They sang a cover of New Edition's Can You Stand the Rain, and everyone was blown away. Bivins managed Boyz II Men and produced their sound. Marc got impatient about how long it was taking to get their own material out. He fell out with the others and left. The other 4 went on to enjoy international stardom. A Boyz II Men song wasn't complete without a little monologue from Michael with his deep, distinctive voice.
Girl, I'm here for you. I know we just met, but may I have this dance?
But then it all changed in 2003. It's hard to believe that Boyz II Men have been a trio for over 18 years. Seems like only yesterday when Michael left and changed the dynamic of the group forever. Michael left at the height of the group's success, and fans have speculated as to why ever since. It's still hard for many to comprehend the group without him. In 2016, after little contact with his former group members, Michael opened up about his decision to leave Boyz II Men on Iyanla Fix My Life. Apparently the other members of Boyz II Men were not happy about his appearance on the show. Michael opened up about his health struggles for the first time publicly. He suffers from multiple sclerosis, a debilitating medical condition that affects the central nervous system. Some people may end up disabled as a result of the condition. In Michael's case, he was warned that it could lead to paralysis. With MS, the immune system attacks the protective myelin sheath that covers the nerve fibres. This causes communication problems between the brain and the rest of the body. Michael was only in his early 20s when he began to notice the signs of something being terribly wrong with his health. At the time, Boyz II Men were in demand more than ever, touring constantly, doing shows and promotional engagements. He said it first began with back spasms. He said, quote, "Well, I was in Boyz II Men when I first saw some of the elements start to happen. It was like little back spasms at first, and they got stronger and stronger, so each time it would get more harsh. Once I was about 22, it started going to full scale." Michael was eventually diagnosed. Being a very private person, he kept his condition to himself. He didn't even tell his close family members. Iyanla said, "For Michael, it was the secrecy of the disease that proved most dangerous. Discussing it on the show was the first time he had revealed it to the world, as well as his close friends and family members. He had not discussed it with the other members of Boyz II Men. Perhaps if they had known, he may still be in the group." Michael revealed that he didn't even tell his wife of 14 years. He and his wife had 3 children, and they divorced in 2009. Sadly, it was also revealed that Michael had not seen his children since his divorce for 7 long years at the time of the interview, and he had not spoken to them or had any communication with them at all for 4 years. Hopefully, this has been rectified since the show. At the time of their divorce, she was still unaware and probably found out when he appeared on the show along with everyone else. He said it became a situation where he didn't trust her anymore, and it appears the same happened with Boyz II Men. But Michael insisted that they were aware that he was sick. They didn't know he had MS, but they knew he had problems with his physical strength and was in pain. They thought it was scoliosis.
And when did you get divorced?
7 years ago.
after the MS?
After all that, actually, she didn't even know. Like, I never told my family members the diagnosis, anything.
Really?
I was married for 14 years.
And never told your wife?
Never told my wife.
Michael, what is that about?
Michael revealed that his diagnosis led him into a deep depression. This separated him from others, especially those who were closest to him. His wife, his siblings, friends, and the other members of Boyz II Men. It's not uncommon for people with certain conditions to keep it private. They may fear being judged or treated differently, or they may fear being perceived as a burden to others. In Michael's case, perhaps it was his depression that caused him to withdraw from his loved ones and colleagues. He sounded hurt when speaking of the other 3 members of Boyz II Men. Perhaps he expected more support from them. Maybe he believed that even if they had known his exact diagnosis, the outcome would still be the same.
They knew I had extreme scoliosis and things of that. They didn't know it was MS. They knew I had all the symptoms of MS still, but they didn't know MS.
Why not?
Giving it
when
a
you
label,
were diagnosed?
Because giving it a label wouldn't have changed the symptoms.
And that made him feel let down regardless. The music business is a fast-paced world. Going on the road, performing for hours, rehearsals, interviews, promotions, tour buses, and flights multiple times a week. Michael said he had doctors traveling with him.
I was going through pain. I'm talking about doctors on the road, neurologists on the road, just to be on stage with them.
So he obviously tried to keep up with the grueling schedule despite his condition, and he used the resources available to him. No doubt he spent a lot of money on this too. Ultimately, it seemed like he expected more from the others, even if they didn't know what his specific diagnosis was.
It's like, nah, you're the one that's sick. We're not sick. We still going on the road.
But he may have underestimated the power of knowledge. Yes, they knew he was sick, but not knowing it was MS took away their option of gaining more knowledge about his condition and understanding the best way to support him. And it took away their ability to gain more understanding in how the condition affected him. Michael said, "I still loved them as brothers, but I didn't confide in them." For all they knew, he could have just taken some painkillers and kept it moving. Back pain, although serious, can vary in severity. There's a difference between some aches and pains and MS. It's clear that Michael did his best to stay in the group and that he didn't feel supported. However, Iyanla helped him realise how destructive it was to keep it from those closest to him. One person from Boyz II Men to respond to Michael's claims was Shawn Stockman. On the Tammy Mac Lake Show, he said he only watched a few minutes of Michael's interview on Iyanla because, quote, "we don't get down like that." Meaning things between them should have been kept private. Even if someone has wronged you, it should not be aired to the whole world. For years, fans speculated that the other 3 heartlessly threw Michael out of the group because he got sick and couldn't keep up with the grueling schedule. But Shawn said real fans know the truth. He said contrary to what people think, they did their best to accommodate Michael, even having a chair on stage for him to sit while they danced around. They were no new addition when it came to dancing, but they did give energetic performances. So it would have been taxing on Michael to be performing for hours. Shawn claims that for some time, they even continued to pay Michael. This is to be expected to a degree. Most jobs offer some sort of sick pay, but it got to the point where Michael wasn't communicating with them, even failing to return their calls at times, according to Shawn.
For fans and everybody else, everybody was like, he had scoliosis, his back went bad, he couldn't perform, and then they just didn't let him in the group anymore. That's kind of the rumor that took off and never really got, straightened out.
Part of that is right. Yes, he has scoliosis. Yes, he had a back issue. And I don't know if the real fans know, because there have been times where we would actually do shows where Mike would be sitting on a stool.
Yeah.
And we were dancing and the whole thing. So we tried practically everything just to, keep him motivated and keep him into it. Because the truth is, Mike never really was as ambitious about music as we were. Mm. So it was one of those things where when his back started to kind of, spaz out, like we seen him less. There were times where he just wouldn't show up at shows. He wouldn't show up at TV appearances. And it started to wear on our business. So it was only necessary for us to make that, cut the ties, because he wasn't willing to do even those things to continue on with the group's responsibilities, which were, the basic things that he already used to do. So we did what we had to do. He wouldn't even answer our phone calls. He wouldn't even pick up the phone. Nate would literally go to his house and he wouldn't answer his door. So it was kind of a thing. It was kind of a weird thing that Mike was going through emotionally, that we were like, okay, we got to do what we got to do here.
That's when they decided to part ways with him. He will always be my brother, Shawn said. Full Circle was the last album Boyz II Men released as a quartet. At the time, they were signed to Arista Records. They had a huge promotional budget and a music video filmed in 4 different countries. But although the sales weren't bad, they were disappointing compared to the success of the past. At this point, they understandably would want to be on their grind more than ever to get back to where they were in the beginning. But of course, Michael was dealing with his health issues at the time, as well as depression. Maybe they lacked the patience and ability to work with him in a way that was best for everybody. After taking a year off, Boyz II Men re-emerged as a trio with a new independent label. They went on to release a series of cover albums. This is usually an indication that an artist or group has passed the peak of their success, doing cover albums. On the 20-year anniversary of their career, Boyz II Men announced a reunion with Michael. Shawn said their 2009 20 album would include all 4 members, 6 years after Michael had left the group.
Most of the people, your millions of fans, will know Boyz II Men have 4 members. But 6 years ago, the other Michael, the 4th member, had to leave due to back problems. How did that change the group dynamic?
Well, I mean, it definitely changed. I mean, obviously, being a 3 was something that we had to overcome vocally. But other than that, I mean, as far as our records are concerned, they still sound the same. We're just missing, a friend that was here and someone who was a part of, creating this group. It took a minute, but we were able to get through it. And our fans, we tried to add a person and they weren't really happy about it. They just wanted to stick with the 3 because they didn't feel like warming up to a new person. So, but I mean, we're working on some other things. I mean, next year we're talking about 20th anniversary album. Yeah. And there's a small possibility that he may be back just for that one album, and we'll see what happens.
Fans were, of course, ecstatic. However, much to our disappointment, Michael declined the invitation to appear with the others. He did join them in 2012 though, to receive their well-deserved star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. They posed for photos together and Michael looked well. It was great to see them all together again. Boyz II Men have continued to earn their coins throughout the years. There's probably more money made in touring anyway. They had a cruise ship tour, and they are solid favourites in Vegas. They also had a huge tour of Asia. The group was never the same after Michael left, as far as I'm concerned. Although they continued to earn good money through their tours, their album sales didn't match the level of success they had as a foursome. They all have something special to contribute to the group, and it's hard to imagine Boyz II Men without any of them. But there was something about Michael's deep baritone voice that made him irreplaceable. It was his signature style, and he was the only baritone in the group. So when he left, his absence was definitely felt. Yes, there are other baritone singers out there, but in Boyz II Men, it was Michael who fulfilled that position, in a way that only he could. I'm sure the door will always be open for Michael. Let's hope we hear from him in the future, and most importantly, let's wish him the best with his health. What were your thoughts about Boyz II Men after Michael left? Did you feel his absence? Do you think the others could have done more to accommodate him? I would love to hear your thoughts. Or was it his own doing for not telling them and failing to be more communicative? Thanks for watching. Share your thoughts below. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. And don't forget to click the bell for more.